What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Start Thinking Forward podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thinkers, doers, welcome back to another electrifying episode. I'm your host, Brandon L. Draper, better known as the Motivational King, but you can call me TMK. And I'm on a mission to help you break free from the shackles and help you soar into the stratosphere of success. Now, if you're wondering how to turn your life lemons into 5-star lemonade stand, or how to flip pain into rocket fuel for your dreams, then buckle up, because today's episode is going to be a roller coaster ride through the mind of a man who's done just that. He's a U.S. Army veteran, a life coach, a trainer who has transformed over 500 plus lives and supercharged 50 companies. He's been named Soldier of the Year not only once, twice, but 3 times, and I think he got the presidential award for something else. Yeah. I saw that in the interview of yours that wasn't even in your bio, bro. So here he's the epitome of resilience. He's a guru of grit and a sultan of self-improvement. Please give us a thunderous virtual applause for the one and only Derrick Johnson. Derrick, man, welcome. Hey, tell us a little bit more about yourself and tell us what brought you here today, why you think you're qualified to talk to business owners, to people that want to find out their true potential. Talk to us, Derrick.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to start off with the woo, just like you did. So I just started off right. But yeah, I appreciate you having me, Brendan. And first off,
you being here.
Thank you. So first off, my whole mission in life since I was a teenager was to just help others level up, to see the power within them. So when you grow up in a family that doesn't really say the phrases "I love you" and things of that nature, I feel like whatever you didn't get as a child, you try to give to others. So I was always that kid that wanted to make other people's day, build them up, push them up in sports, my teammates, or help the shy kid get better at the presentation for the class. So I just always wanted to give people that, what I was missing as a child. But yeah, so growing up, I was a Army brat. My father was 25 plus years, and he's African-American. He's from Starkville, Mississippi. So he grew up on a farm boy. So he had that structure, that discipline, and that mentality. And then my mother, she's German. So she was a kindergarten teacher for 40 plus years. And if you all are familiar with the mentality of Germans, they're very gung-ho and strict as well. So both parents definitely instilled that in me. But outside of the success level of the parents, they went through their own traumas growing up. So they were the oldest of all their siblings. So they had to be the parents of all the siblings. So while their mother was working and all that, they had to take care of the home. And so with that being said, they both grew up poor, and then they became successful throughout their careers. But there was a lot of trauma that they didn't have time to work on because they were taking care of everyone. And then they had my sisters and I. So a lot of that spilled into their life later on. So with that being said, success was there, discipline was there and all that. But in the home front, once the family would leave the house, once the cookout was over, that's when the bottles started popping and all that. And that's where the anger, aggression, emotion and stuff came out. But at the age of 11, I just always knew that they were yelling through me, not really at me. So I could feel like God was telling me, this is not about you. Something happened in the past. We're not going to ask questions, but hey, it is what it is. I have to learn how to flip this into something. And I don't know where that came from, but I've always believed that people that go through trauma, especially with family, we're all given a gift. And I feel like my gift as a child was discernment, being able to read people's energy, being able to read a room. So I feel like that was the gift, and it always worked out to help people and meet them at their level. So yeah, with that upbringing in sports, that's what got me into the military. And then eventually I knew that my passion was going to be to help more people than just athletes and soldiers, and to help society and also business owners. But that's a summary real quick, but it was always about the pain, to flip that into fuel, to be able to make a bigger impact, to know that life is happening for us, not to us.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Derrick. 'Cause I mean, oftentimes we do have a lot of athletes on the show. People that doing the trifecta, the Spartan races, and all these, trying to get to that true human potential and pushing yourself to the limit. So on a lighter note, so Derrick, you talked about a couple of things. One of the things is that you've been a Soldier of the Year 3 times. So my question to you, what is the secret sauce? And is that the same stuff you put on your barbecue? What is it that people fire up, get you fired up like that?
Yeah, honestly, it was I tap into my alter ego or my dark side. So I did it first as a child because I grew up as a skinny kid. I was bullied at home, bullied in school, and around the age of 11 and 12, I said enough is enough. So I dove deep into fitness because I was just that skinny, shy kid, and I'm mixed, so I'm light skinned, pretty boy, whatever people would call us. I was like, I had to prove myself because of the appearance or whatever. So fitness was my outlet of the pain. So I fell in love with the calmness and the confidence after an extreme workout because I felt that once I had that calmness, my mind was open and clear. I wasn't judging myself. I wasn't worried about the past. And I felt like that's when I did my best work with faith. So I was always chasing that calmness. Extremism runs in my family, drugs and alcohol. So I chose fitness and faith because I wanted to change the family pattern, the family curse and all that. So I don't have kids yet, but I know when I do, alcoholism and all that rage will not be there. We'll just let it out together on a punching bag. But besides that, it's not going to be trickled down. But yeah, so honestly, it was using those dark times as my fuel as a child and learning how to harness that. So like the older I got, I realized that I was doing shadow work. I was doing alter ego work. And I didn't realize what that was as a kid, but I would just kind of tap out of reality to trick myself to learn other things and to push through those things. So being able to tap into that, it was more so me versus me. I was trying to make that childish, scared, fearful kid proud. And I would always think of those dark moments and like push my body and mind to its limits, but show up for others. So it was never really to compete against soldiers or anybody else. I would just like put myself in a dark state. I'm not saying that works for everyone, but it just always worked for me to push myself to see what I was capable of. Because I just never wanted to do anything 80% or 90%. That was always the thing I promised myself to never do, is to not go all out on something. So that's mainly what it was.
So a couple of things I want to add to that. Like, to me, it's like you're a human potential expert. Like, the different ways on how to push yourself. And, looking at your website, it looks like there's a lot of people that have, rallied behind you, and they also have pushed themselves and reached new heights as far as how they physically look, how they feel, their whole level of fitness. So what I want the listening audience to understand, because sometimes things just go over people's heads, is you got to understand that if you're a thought leader, you're a CEO, whatever it is that you're doing, what we're talking about, what Derrick's talking about right now, is just as important, because none of that matters if certain things are not lined up. And knowing these tools and these nuggets that he's dropping, like saying that he created this alter ego, like maybe you're an introvert and you have difficulties being able to communicate how you feel or how people make you feel or whatever the case may be. Look, now you have another tool. Not saying that it's for you. And you said that there. You're like, listen, this is what I did, right? Yeah. This is what he did. That doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. You might have to tweak it a little bit. That's the greatest thing about being a leader, being an entrepreneur, is that you can take bits and pieces of nuggets that people give you and come up with your own unique way of doing something that's still effective and efficient, but it's your own way of doing it. And it doesn't necessarily have to put you always in an uncomfortable state. But understand, and I think you were definitely going to drive this home later on in this episode, but it's also understanding that at times you're going to have to be uncomfortable if you expect to get certain type of results. What's your insight on that?
100%. So it's more so people have so much untapped potential that they don't realize they have. So an example could be, we'll start with fitness. If somebody was running part of a sports team, or if they were military, or if they just did it alone and they got to that point where they're like, I'm tired, I don't think I can do anymore. Any single time we've all gotten to that point, if they push themselves, the majority of the time, I'm not going to create a statistic, but just in my mindset, 99% of the time, you're going to be okay. You're not going to die. Your heart's going to be okay. Your mind's going to be okay. But it's more so, many people in today's society have not experienced the high of pushing their body and mind past its previous thresholds. So like if somebody played sports, that's the beauty of sports in the military. We all go through the suck together. Training camp, spring training, summer, in the winter, weather's crazy. We hate each other during practice. And by game time, we're like, we're focused machines. And we're like, this is crazy. We're totally different people. but like that high and confidence that you get, I feel like that's a huge thing that many people are missing because they never really push themselves out of that box. So if they don't do it physically or mentally, it's hard for them to really do it with business. They don't send that last email. They don't send another text. They say, hey, it's 4:30. I'm going to stop because 5, nobody's going to answer my phone call, or they'll start creating scenarios and do less and less and less. And then they look at it, they start to do it with every area of life. They have the dishes in the sink for 5 days. They have a pile of laundry, like all these different things. Their cup holders sticky for like 2 months straight. All these things, these small things that they don't pay attention to. And then they wonder why they're so stressed. But I bring up those examples to say, people just have to really sit down and say, what are my current standards? And do I live by them? Most people have high standards, but they don't live by them. That's the major issue. But if they can be honest and raw with themselves without judgment, it's more so like, hey, I'm my best friend trying to hype him up to get better. It's not putting ourselves down. It's just like, hey, we want this kind of lifestyle, this kind of business. Do our standards match our action? Like, let's look at ourselves. Let's look at our environment, our vehicle, our relationships. Are we really putting in the work to have everything at the high standard? But just being raw and honest with ourselves. And it's very hard for most people because pride and ego is usually in the way, where they can't be honest with themselves and say, I haven't done X, Y, Z. They're more so like, well, I got this going on and I got that going on. Life is crazy. Life is hectic. It might be crazy and hectic, but they usually use those things as a cop-out line. But it only stems from that individual hasn't really pushed themselves out of that threshold. And once they've experienced that, they get a high and they're like, whoa, I'm capable of this, I'm capable of that. And they start chasing that high. So I feel like that's a huge issue in business and in personal, is that they haven't pushed themselves out of that box. So they truly don't know what it feels like. So they can't really like give an opinion about it because they haven't pushed themselves.
Man, you dropping hot coals and lava. like that's facts. You know, how you do some things is how you're gonna do everything. If you're lackluster in your physical, you know, you're gonna be lackluster in your spiritual. You're gonna be lackluster in what you put in your body as far as what you eat. You're gonna be lackluster in your marketing. You're gonna be, all these things are gonna be emblematical because how you do some things is how you do everything. So I want to make sure I understood that. You said our standards match our actions, or our actions match our standards. What was that again? I want you to please, and then elaborate a little bit more on that, because I think people need to understand and conceptualize what you're saying in that statement.
For sure. So like the first question somebody could ask themselves are, what are my standards? And it always starts with themselves. Because I feel like society has it backwards. They expect everybody else to have high standards, but it all starts with them, because they want a 5-star player, a 5-star female, whatever, high value woman, high value man, whatever these cool words are that people use. But if they start with themselves, it's like, are you even worthy of that person? Like, let's look at you first. But asking themselves, what are my values and what are my standards? So with their body, with their mentality, financially, and it doesn't mean they have to be at that level yet, but do they actually have standards that are created? Many people, they say vague statements. I want to become successful. I would love to manage a team in a business. I want to be rich. I want millions. That sounds great, sounds positive, but it's very vague. It has no energy to it. But if they can be hyper specific, so it could be like, hey, they want to make their first 8 or 10K a month. Awesome. Very specific. Hey, he wants to lose 10 pounds. Perfect. She would like to go on more first dates and have the confidence to speak in public, like whatever it is. But if they start creating those standards and writing them down and say, I will not allow myself to be under this level, financially, physically, spiritually, I have to operate at this default setting potentially. So raising their default setting, and then with their standards, am I living up to them? And if they're not, finding the resources, the tools, the people that can help them to live at those standards. Because sometimes we just don't have the information and we just got to get connected with somebody. But first, creating our standards for every area of our life. And then 2, asking ourselves, are we living there? If we're not, finding the information to help us to get to that standard. And then eventually that standard becomes a default setting. So like a high level person, most people would say, wow, he or she does so much in a day. Brandon works so much. He's on his phone 7 days a week. He's doing this, doing that. How does he do it? and you've been doing it for so many years, that's like your default setting. You're like, hey, this is a normal Monday morning for us. We've been up since 5 or 6 and we've been getting it. So our default setting is much higher than most people's. So people just have to realize that they can slowly raise that thing. And that's honestly where they live, where eventually they will use less energy and get more done, because that's just how they operate. Because in reverse, people operate, they waste a lot of time. It takes them long to do tasks, or they just procrastinate. And then they feel like they're drowning in tasks that are not completed. And they're just like, man, I just can't catch up on things. But it's usually because there's too much time gap between each task. They say, I'm gonna get around to it next Monday. I'm gonna get around to that, get around this. And then there's so much that's at 20 or 30% that they feel like they can't get anything complete.
So, Derrick, I'm gonna be honest. So I have this strong belief that the hardest thing to ever do in this life is to be something you've never seen, right? That it's always better if you have an example of something, you know, you can follow behind it. So I'm Joe or Jan or them or that or whoever you want to identify yourself with. And that's just saying, I'm out there and I'm in the listening audience right now, and I'm saying to myself, wow, Derrick, I don't have any standards. I don't even know how to set a standard. I've never seen that before. What would be my first step? What would be my first action? I don't have any standards. I don't even know where to start. Yes, I have said before that I want to have success, but really, honestly, I don't know how to get to it. I don't even know where to start. I want to start a business. I've been talking about it for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's going on 10 years. I talked about writing that book. I still haven't done it, Derrick. I still haven't done it. So all those things that may be going on in the listening audience in their mind right now, as you said that, and they're looking at you, looking at us, they may be saying, well, they got something special. Well, Derrick got something more special. He got special. Just there has to be some explanation why he's where he's at, and he believes the philosophy he has. It has to be something different. What is that difference? If you're following me with that.
For sure. So the first part of your question, I would challenge that person, if they don't know where to start, write out a list of things that they don't want. So for example, I don't want to be over 220 pounds. He doesn't want less than X amount in his checking or savings or investment. He doesn't want to live in his hometown anymore. He doesn't. If they can get super hyper specific and write that out to get clear on what they don't want, sometimes they start to get inspiration, and then instantly their mind flips to, okay, we have a clear vision of 20 or 40 things that we don't want. Now let's get excited. What can we create? And then at that point, they can start to get more creative. And if they need examples, the power of social media is they can find people that are actually like living that thing, whether it's real estate, whether it's speaking, whatever career or path they want to go on, or even like if they have kids and they're like, man, single fathers, I don't know if we can do these other things, or single mothers. If they see a couple examples, they're like, whoa, he does this, she does that. And sometimes that's all we need is seeing proof, like you said. But I would first start with that individual. If they can't set standards or don't know how, write out a list of what they don't want first. And also creating a not to do list. So like you could start with somebody's morning routine. What is my not to do list? I'd never watch the media. Some people say, hey, you should know what's going on in the world. I just don't, because I'm like, I have no control over it. It has
selective
nothing to do with me. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I'm so focused on what we're doing that's like things are going to happen. But what do you not want? And what can you add to your not to do list in the morning? Because if you can start with that, you start to feel freer. And then from there, you realize that you peel some of this stuff away and your mind starts to open up more. Because it's really hard to be excited about life, open-minded and strategic if you have all this stuff that's weighing over you. And you're like, man, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I can't even, like, I feel like I'm drowning. I can't even swim yet. So where do I start from here? But first, eliminating some things, step one.
Okay, so what? And I'm kind of, because we haven't rehearsed this. We're having a real conversation here. So
yeah,
what about the physical side of it, right? Because I have a strong belief that and I know everyone has different levels of fitness, okay, but I always have the strong belief that it starts with the body. Like, I can write a list down all day, but if I can get on a regimen, hey, when I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna make my bed. Because usually I don't make my bed. So I'm able to take charge in a different way, and I'm being very intentional with it. Hey, instead of eating cereal, maybe I want to eat a banana. and instead of sitting looking at TV, looking at, whatever TV show or nonsense on TV before I go to work, right? What if I was to go for a little run? What if I was to knock out some push-ups or sit-ups? To me, those are things that physically makes you feel good and mentally, because now you got the right chemicals rolling in your body and things are starting to regulate a little better. Now you're able to come up with ideas. Can you speak a little bit on that physical? Because I know that's really where your focus is at, because you're transforming people from being, couch potatoes to freaking Spartan warriors.
Yeah, for sure. So I've always believed that there's a mind-body connection, as in once you move the body first in the morning, it could be taking your dog on a walk. Once you start flowing, you've had that glass of water, you had your coffee, whatever that person's thing is, they're walking, they're running, jogging, hitting the weights. They can choose any physical activity. Once they start walking back or they drive home from the gym, their mind is open. Everybody's had a workout before, guarantee you, where they just felt open. Ideas came to mind, people's names came to mind, situations, creativity, and they're just like, man, is this me? Is this God? Is this my ancestors? Like, where's this coming from? They're just downloading information, the universe, whatever it is. But if they start their morning like that, they're proactive. So I've always been a component of morning routines, not to do 10 things, to do 2 things, one thing for the body and one thing for the mind. So the body, any type of physical activity that they choose, and the mind, some examples could be meditation, prayer, visualization, journaling. If they just choose one of each, they'll feel in control. So something that's also common now is people try to do 10 things in the morning just to get a dopamine hit. And the rest of the day, they're not productive at all. And they're like, well, my morning routine is awesome. I do this, I drink that, and I do this. I take a cold shower, then I sit in the ice bath, and then I do this, and I have my vegan shake. And it's like, awesome. Show us what happened between 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're like, oh, yeah, we can talk about that. But that's why I just recommend people choose 2 things. Move the body first, open the mind. And it's just more so about being proactive. So you feel like you have control of the day. Because on the flip side, we've all hit snooze too many times, woke up late, stress and anxiety are up. In that very moment, in that day, everybody's calling you, everybody's emailing you, every bill is due within that day, surprisingly. Every notification is going off, and you're like, what the hell? It's not even 8 a.m. and like, I can't even get out of my own mess. But it's usually because that person wasn't proactive in that morning. So it's just all about saying, I'm going to be intentional about my day. I'm going to wake up a little bit earlier. I'm going to go on this walk, starting off. If they don't know what to do in the gym, I'm going to drink this glass of water, opposed to sweet tea. I'm going to do this, and just being super focused about it. So they're more proactive rather than reacting to everything and feeling like they're getting pulled in all directions. And come lunchtime, they're like, I need a drink. And they're just overwhelmed. But definitely moving the body first, opening the mind with whatever modality resonates with them. Like for me, my favorite is visualization. I love to visualize version 10.0 every area. For others, they might get the biggest rush praying. And for some people, they like to meditate. So they can choose whatever is most effective for them.
So, and I mean, I like when you use sweet tea. Anyone that knows me personally knows that's my favorite thing to drink, sweet tea. They're going to be like, oh, he's talking about him. But yeah, I love sweet tea. But exactly, I have a big thing of sweet tea in there right now. I'm like, yeah, I did. Go for a workout and drink some tea. I don't do that. Like, like who does that? I'm kind of defeated. But the next thing I want to ask you is, like, you talked about stress management as the ultimate life skill, right? And elucidate that, make that a little clearer for the listening audience. Like, what do you mean by stress management as the ultimate life skill, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what I mean by that is, if something throws you off, whether it's a bill, whether it's something at work, the micromanaging manager or boss, a family member, anytime something or somebody throws you off, how long does it take for you to come back to an equilibrium as a calm state? So if that person in traffic pisses you off at 7 a.m., are you angry till 12? And like, you're not productive all day. Do they have control of you and your emotions and your reaction? Or do you just grab the steering wheel, yell for a second or something, or give them the finger and just keep going about your day? That's a simple one. But it's more so about, how long does it take for you to come back to be calm and confident? For some people, anger is very common. So especially for men, we might have pent up emotions that we haven't talked about. Growing up, we're told to man up, suck it up, don't talk about it, don't cry, don't be a little bee. whatever it is. And we hold all this stuff in, and one small thing happens at work and they feel like they're about to punch this dude. And it's like, the situation was not that negative. It's just this guy or this woman hasn't released this stuff in so many months or years that any extra thing makes the ticking time bomb almost go off, where they feel like it's that specific thing. But it's more so, I like to ask people, how long do you want to feel this way? And how long will you allow yourself to feel this way? If they're angry and you ask somebody that, it catches them off guard, and they'll be like, two minutes, 2 hours. And like, it catches them off guard because nobody's going to ask them that. And then they think about it and they're like, damn, this is stupid. Like, why am I even mad? Because usually somebody's in that state for so long that they almost forget what got them there to begin with. Because it's so common to be in that state. They could have seen something on Facebook and been arguing with somebody about politics, and they're just like, why am I so aggressive today? And they're like, wow, I wasted 10 minutes arguing with my cousin on Facebook about a political thing. It's like, what am I doing with my time right now? But honestly, it's just all about how fast can they get back to an equal state so they can go on to the next task of the day. So like a common one for everyone that can relate to this is, after a work day, can you be present with your family at dinner? Or do you bring family stress, or business stress or personal stress into the family dinner table or into the restaurant? What can you do by dinner time to be present with the ones you love? If you have that skill and you can master it, it's going to be a game changer. And we're not pretending that stress, anxiety, depression, we're not pretending these things don't exist, but I feel like the best leaders, the best CEOs, the best parents, they have the best stress management, that they can breathe, calm down, or simply communicate and say, hey guys, let's push it back 30 minutes. I need to hit the punch bag, or I need to go to the gym, or I just need to go walk. Like, y'all go ahead, I'll meet y'all there. And if they can communicate beforehand, they might be like, hey, he's having a moment, cool. But it's rare for people to speak up like that. They might just show up to the dinner and just be sitting there. What's wrong, Brandon? Oh, nothing. Let me get this one. All right. Wednesday night dinner. But yeah, so more so is, how quick can they come back to equilibrium, to be calm and confident? Because too many times we allow a situation, a person, a politician, or something that we saw or heard ruin our whole mood for the entire day. And I think it was Confucius, or one of the philosophers, mentioned that a man that can make you angry is your master. You are their slave. If they can make you angry, you are their slave. They are your master. So that quote, I'm paraphrasing it, but that quote always stuck out to me, because as a teenager, I had anger issues. And when I thought back at it, I'm like, man, my parents used to just run my head, or my teacher or my coach. I was just angry for no reason. So with that being said, especially for our people, honestly, it's like we hold in way too much aggression, way too much anger. Yes, we've all been through our personal things, but a lot of us stay in that state way too long, and we might be blocking our blessings because our energy and frequency is just off. Somebody might see us, our resume, our video online, meet us in person. They might be like, man, they're really well put together, but Derrick's energy is kind of off. I don't really know if I want him on the team. And it might be just you're having a bad day, or you allow somebody to keep you in a low state for hours or days on end, where sometimes the blessings and opportunities are right here in our face, but we're just angry and aggressive, where people are like, oh, I'm nervous. He or she intimidates me. I don't know if I want them around. So it's all about checking our energy and how fast we can come back up or come back down.
And I agree. And this falls really under, and it's kind of like a series that I'm pushing, is like trying to understand emotional intelligence, because right there, you're really talking about a lot of self-regulation. You have to know what is going to, a situation might take you and put you in another emotional state. When I ask people, like, what state are you in? I'm not asking, I'm in Georgia. I'm in, no. What state are you in? Because we're all in a state of mind. What is that state of mind that you're having right now? So if you can better understand and self-regulate yourself, understand your feelings or what something may trigger you, it allows you to have control. And I think that's what Confucius was saying in that reference you used, is the idea of if you're the one in control, then no one can anger you, because if they can anger you, they can make you do something that maybe is outside of your character. So you having that control, and once again, it goes right back to the beginnings of the conversation. It's like how you do some things is how you're going to do everything, and that's why you have to have a balance these things out, even as a CEO, as a leader, whatever it is you're doing, or maybe you're a pastor of a church, whatever capacity that you are, all these things play an intricate part. My pastor, right now, he revolutionized his whole health. Like, there was a couple of years ago, he was a little bit more chunkier. Now he's really focused on his health. They just announced this the other day at church, like, hey, I just had my battery of tests, it came back, everything's clear. So
Awesome.
When you hear that, it's like, but he had to change his state of mind. Just because I had the position that I have, just because that doesn't get you out of the room of bad things happening to you. Like, you got to make sure that, one, you're taking care of your state of mind so that mentally you can be astute, and also that how you're mentally performing is going to actually contribute to the performance of your body. A lot of times people have heart issues and stuff, heart palpitation, all these different type of nervous disorder. They get anxiety and stuff, and a lot of it can. And I mean, I'm not no doctor, I'm not no expert in this. I'm just saying that I believe a lot of it can be not necessarily eliminated, but lessened if you follow certain things, and especially if you start at a certain point and you continue, like you said, that default. You raise your default that is not even hard on you anymore, right? It's like getting ready for boot camp. If you're training up to that point and you get yourself to a certain default, what is this, man? We can't 12 miles. What's that? I'm used to doing 20. Like, okay, this is a walk, brisk walk in the park. So any insight on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I love what you said. Just to bounce off of that is, if people can just say, you know what, I need to be able to push my pride and ego away. That's like one of the biggest issues that people, they make their situation bigger and worse than it is. And they say that Brandon is lucky, Michelle is lucky, John is lucky. And they create all these things, but all that is like their own limiting belief. But a challenge that I challenge people to make with themselves is, if they can draw the line in the sand and put their foot down and say, I will no longer allow people to control my reactions. I'm not going to give people what they expect. So like, being African-American males, somebody might expect us to act a certain way in the restaurant. Somebody might expect her to act this way. The Hispanic guy, somebody expects him to act this way, whatever it is. Or if everybody knows that person at work and what irks them, people might say a little slick side comment. But if that person just pauses and breathes and say, how do they expect me to react? They expect me to get sad, get pissed off, walk away, storm out of the room. It might even be family. It honestly starts with family the most. Like your uncle, auntie, whoever, they know what to say to poke those buttons during the holiday. And you're like, yo, within 10 minutes of me walking in the house, I'm going to be punching a wall. But in that moment, if they can think of that and say, what reaction do I normally give these people? It doesn't always have to be negative. It could just be, I have control of my reaction. If people can pause, pausing is like one of the biggest game changers. They can just take a moment, breathe, and say, you know what? I am angry right now, but I'm just going to communicate. Instead of yelling, I'm going to communicate and say, hey, I really don't agree with you. Let's agree to disagree. How are we going to solve this? And just practice not giving people the response they expect. It's way harder said than done, but the more that you do that, your own power and confidence goes up. And they're like, dang, it's been 4 days and nobody's pissed me off except for myself. Where my opinion has always been like, the only stress I allow in my life and the only way that I'm going to be angry is if I did it to myself. I'm not going to allow anybody else or the world to piss me off. Like to this day, I'll just like smile and agree with people. And people just think I'm crazy. They're like, they'll be all aggressive. Like, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. I am. And there's nothing else for them to say in that moment. They're just like,
you disarmed
not giving me back. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm exactly what you said I am. And then I just keep going about my day. And usually people are just confused or they feel stupid because they're like, why are we so aggressive about people? But yeah, so if somebody challenges themselves to say, what can I do in my life to no longer give people the reaction that they expect? Because there's something that happens at work that's repetitive. There's something that happens in their relationship that's repetitive with their family, and it's a pattern. If this individual can identify their pattern, they can start to harness it and take control, where the more clarity that people have, the less confusion there is. So like my old pattern, I identified it was anger. It wasn't violence. It wasn't anything of that, but I would just like hold it in as a teenager. And I was like, I don't need to listen to anybody. I know everything, blah, blah, blah. I was that hardhead that I had to learn the hard way. And then once I started pushing that out of the way and saying, I'm only going to tap into that anger with fitness or when life tests me. Besides that, I'm not going to be in an angry state at all. Once I was able to harness that, doors started opening. I was calmer, saw stuff. I was learning fast. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was wasting so much energy for so many years just being angry for no reason.
Interesting. Wow. So misplaced aggression. That's interesting. So let's talk about the relationship dojo.
Okay.
So when it comes to friendships and relationships, what's your golden rule? Swipe right or left?
Great question. Great question. So I have a different concept. My concept is, do my friends, my girlfriend, my boys, whoever it is, do we have a similar version of success, or is it totally different? Success can mean something totally different. Some people want the beautiful house with the wraparound front porch with the white picket fence. Some people want that. To me, that doesn't make me happy or fulfill me at all. And I'm not saying that that thing is wrong, but if somebody can identify what their version of success is, starting with themselves, and does their partner have a similar vision? It might be the same, it might be similar, or 5 years later, they might notice it's the total opposite. She wanted kids, you didn't. He wanted a condo, she wanted a house in the hometown, and they're like, we should have figured this out on our third date. Like, what are we doing now? But also with friends, like a lot of friends, the reason that there's tension with some friendships is they literally just have the opposite meanings of success. There's no wrong meaning. Some people, they're okay with staying in their hometown, and we can't be angry about it. It's like, it is what it is. I used to get aggravated with my old friends and some of my family to say, man, y'all got so much potential. He should be in the NBA. He should be a doctor. And I would hype everybody up. And they're like, dude, why are you so aggressive? Why you too much, D? And I'm like, I just want you to win. How am I too much? I'm like, DJ, I was like Lil Jon and DJ Khaled of all of my groups. I was like, we're trying to get everybody to win. And I'm like, how are you going to be mad at me? I'm the only one that speaks up, seeing you slack. I'm like, I just want to see you happy. But with that being said, if people can identify what is their version of success and ask their friends, like, hey, what do you really want? What does she really want? What does he really want? And if people have something similar, it feels good to know what everybody wants, because we're all just trying to win together. It's not about you being better than me being better than them. It's like, if you level up, I get excited. If he levels up, they should get excited. If your people are not getting excited for you, you might want to rearrange that circle because they have a different meaning of success, or they might be trying to block you on your road because they see your potential and they're like, Brandon makes me uncomfortable, man. He got out of the army, he started doing business. I don't know about this. And they might be plotting. Like, you never know. You never know. So finding your definition of success and asking your people, because that can alleviate so much stuff, because sometimes friendships, like, we just got to accept it. Like, some friendships just aren't meant to be for life. Too many people hold on to friendships that have no positivity. They're just like, well, we've been friends for 15 years. It's like, all right, how many of those years have been positive? The first 3, well, we knew each other since middle school. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
So I think I heard something recently says loyalty comes with an expiration date. And I was like, what? And that's kind of the opposite of what, if you come from certain worlds, like especially the military, you don't understand, but it is to truly understand what they're saying is like, there's a limit to how loyal you should be. Like you said, you got to measure where that relationship is at. Like, yeah, we knew each other 15, 20 years ago. But since then I've done X, Y, Z. You haven't supported, you haven't been there. So now when something happens to you or a situation comes your way, I'm supposed to, run to your aid or whatever, where our relationship, the dynamics of our relationship has changed. I'm no longer running to your aid because we're just not in each other's lives. What do you think about that, as far as, because people can take that in so many different ways?
Yeah, for sure. People just have to accept it. So like, if they're a pessimist, if they're an optimist, or if they're a realist, from a realist standpoint, everyone on their journey to success is going to lose somebody. Family members, relationships, friends, the guy you thought was supporting you but was plotting. Like, you just got to accept it, that life isn't sunshine, rainbows, and fucking unicorns. But when people can accept it and they're ready for it, to say, I'm on my journey to success, I'm excited about it, and if I give somebody good news because I'm excited, if they don't get excited with me, then I really have to change that dynamic. If they're excited and they call me, am I just as excited about their opportunity for them as they are for themselves? Do we give that same energy? Like the law of reciprocity. I like to give what I want to receive, and I'm excited for everybody that's winning. And there's no there's no intimidation, there's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's no weird energy about it. It's like, I just love seeing people win, and they love to see me win. And like, I'm human. I have an off day. If I see you winning, I get excited. And it should be that way with everybody. So I would first say, you have to accept that it's going to happen. You're going to lose people. We're not going to say who you're going to lose, but you're going to start to see people's true colors once you start to go up the totem pole of success, whatever that version is. You change your body, people are going to get uncomfortable. Brandon's in that little fitness thing. Well, he over there making that shake and eating salads again. It's like, it's the most basic thing, but it's like, people start.
That's crazy to me, though. That's crazy to me. Like, I've never, you know, my mother just brought me up a certain way, bro. That's not in me, bro. Like, I don't even know how to be that way. So when I see other people that way, it just makes me want to get the hell away from them, like, expeditiously, bro, because like, I don't understand that thinking. Like, if me and you are friends, Derrick, like, you going up or blowing up, I'm happy for you. You know why? I'm like, whoa, you know, I got a friend that's doing something. Hey, that should motivate me to get it in gear, get fired up and do what I got to do, not get jealous or envious of you. That doesn't make sense to me. I've never ever understood that. That's like stupidity at its finest to me, you know. Seriously.
100%. I agree with it. And like that's the biggest issue with a lot of hometown people. I feel like everyone can relate to this, because just because they play sports with an individual, went to class together, a lot of them, they don't even have a vision of life. And when you start to do well, they get uncomfortable, because all it is your success is shining a light at their missed opportunities, laziness, bad habits, vices, whatever it is. It's like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're here. Life is short. God has you and me here and everyone else here for a reason. We're trying to live out that purpose and passion. And the others, they don't think that high level. They're thinking for right now and talking about LeBron versus MJ and what new Lil Durk song came out. It's like, I respect all those gentlemen, but it's like, what are you doing with your life? One of the biggest pieces of advice my dad used to say to me as a teen, I hated it back then because I loved the NBA. It's like 15, 16. He was like, son, you know everybody's stats. What are your stats? He would say that all the time. He's like, what are your stats? Oh, 20 points per game. How many points you got? You got a couple mil in the bank? You watching dudes throw around balls, making millions, buying their jerseys, making them rich. What you doing? Like, that's how he would talk to me. And the older I got, it clicked. And I was like, I knew everybody's stats and I had zero stats in anything. So like, now when I look at it, I'm like, dang, like, no offense to anybody that's into sports. I got nothing against sports, but it's very
being real. Don't no. You're not gonna be nice about that. That's because that's real. That's real.
There's dudes in their 40s, 50s, and 60s at the local bar, been doing the same thing since they were 20, talking about pro athletes, arguing, getting in fights at games over somebody else playing sport. Like, it's crazy to me when you really zoom out. It's like, we're like animals almost. It's like it was almost created for us to be like, hey, watch these dudes. They're going to argue about these athletes that don't give a dang about them. And it's just wild. But if you feel like
living a life that they wish they could, that's the funny thing. Because I think what it is that they're arguing because they're vicariously living through those people. You know, in their minds, they can never obtain that in their own life. So in their minds, that's their life for that moment that they see him. That's what I would have done. That's what you wouldn't have done it because you didn't do it. Because they're playing and you're talking about it. That's the punchline, you know?
Exactly. 100%. And people just have to like wake up and get serious about their life and their situation and accept that they can change the trajectory of the whole family tree. That's a powerful statement. It makes people uncomfortable. It gives them a rush.
Facts.
Some, they're like, I don't want to be that person. But I feel like that's what God has all of us here. Whatever path somebody goes on, you can literally be the one that changes it. If you have family trauma because of drugs and alcohol, or you grew up in foster care, if you have kids, or if you have kids right now, you can be the one that provides a whole new life for them. After you, something shifted. The family tree was going this way, and Brandon came up and he was like, we don't know what happened, but after Grandpa Draper was here, something changed. But having that vision should give people a rush where it's not about the right now, because I feel like another major issue is people are selfish. It's all about me, 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 me. Yes, life can test us, but are you only living for you? Or do you put family, friends, loved ones, future people, a stranger that needs to hear that podcast or video? Are you putting those people in front of you? Or you're like, we have to show up better for other people?
I agree. And I want to kind of harp a little bit more on this idea. Like you mentioned, the importance of being ruthless with who you associate with. How do you decide who makes the cut? because I'm not, that's kind of, we were talking about it, you know, just a couple seconds ago, but I just feel like that's one of those things. I can raise my hand and say, yes, I felt like I can understand where you're coming from with that. But at the same time, I feel like I've not executed what I've needed to do to cut certain individuals off, like, you know, because of they were there for me in a hard time. And then, you know, they get in a hard time, and then it's just they show themselves to me over and over like they're not sugar honey iced tea, you know.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
because of what they did for me, I still hold them in high regard, even though they shouldn't be, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. It makes total sense. So especially if you're struggling, like I'll be honest, I lived in Miami for a while. I was trying to do modeling. I was doing well. Then a year later, I lived in my car for a whole year. Most people never knew that. I never told anybody. And I was embarrassed. And I would message my boys and try to get some food, try to make something happen. But my ego and pride was pushed out of the way because I was like, it is what it is. I'm here. This is temporary. This is all temporary. And though when I started to get successful or get clients and grow the business and all that, my same friends who were there at that time and I was there for them, they were like, dude, nothing changed. You were just as focused. And like, I didn't have to prove myself to them, but I was just that friend. I was like, yo, here's a picture. I'm in the library. Here's 10 applications I filled out. Here's this. I went to these casts. Like, I just wanted people to see it. It's like, I'm not asking for nothing for no reason. Here's proof that I'm doing the work. And I don't know why, but it was always my mentality to just like, hey, I'm not asking for no reason. And so on the flip side, I would ask people to just show me because I never created sob stories. So I would expect others not to create sob stories because sometimes some family and friends, they lose track of their own sob stories. Like they've made up so many stories where you can start playing around with them. You're like, man, that happened. What about Jimmy? And what about that flat tire? Man, I thought you had a Honda. You got a Cadillac now? I thought you had a Honda last time that broke down. Like it's crazy what people do when they need something because they start creating stuff. And so with that being said is if somebody can look at the history with that person and just can be raw and honest and say, is it more positive or is it more negative and stress? Is it more positive or is it more negative and stress? And also, do they pour into your cup or do you always pour into their cup? Because I feel like it should be both ways. I struggled, he struggled, but we saw the long vision. And nowadays we all went up together. And sometimes it's the opposite way. You're going up. Yes, this person might be struggling, but they expect you. Oh, well, his business is growing. Man, he has to help me pay this bill. Oh, he has to do this. And they start expecting it. Where a clear example, I had an individual that was in my life that I asked him, I was like, hey, I understand you're struggling. How about this? Email me your resume. I will help you tweak it. And we're going to apply to a ton of places together. I never received that email. And then I didn't talk to him anymore. I was just like, dude, I'll help you, but I can't like keep helping you financially. And I was just like, you don't want to pay him. Like I just had to be blunt.
He ghosted you? He ghosted you after that?
Yeah, he ghosted me after that. And like I got nothing personally against it, but it's like that's proof that he didn't really want to change his life. He just wanted to get the money right now and then like go about life, pretend nothing's going on, and then come around and say, hey, Brandon, you know, stuff's happening again. And you can start to catch people's pattern. So I challenge people to catch people's patterns. It might be a positive one or it might be a negative one. So making that decision for yourself, because at the end of the day, the most important person on planet is you and your mental health. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, but if you're not right, you can't take care of your people and you can't take care of your customers, your clients, but whatever you got to do to be in an empowered state, please just do that thing.
All right. So quick, and this is be a random quick fire question. What do you think about people that are just consumed by their work? Like, you know, there's so many people, so much going on. Like they literally consumed. They don't have time to work out. They don't have time to go to church. They don't have time to do nothing other than go to work, go to sleep, to wake up, to go back to work again. What's your insight on that?
That's a great question. I would challenge everybody to read. It's actually, if people see the video, my microphone is on it. I challenge everyone to read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. The reason why,
4 times, brother, 4 times. I've read that book 4 times now.
I love it. It's literally timeless. There's hundreds of self-development books, but the reason I bring it up is because a lot of people, just like the book says, they're drifters. They just go through life like a leaf getting blown, Or if you're from Florida like me, you're the jellyfish in the ocean. They have no control. They're just going with the waves, getting pushed, whatever, I'm gonna get around, do that thing. I'm finna do that. Everything's kind of up in the air and they never grab it and like take action. But with that being said, is that a lot of people are drifters and asking themselves, have I been drifting or have I been intentional? Have I been drifting or have I been intentional? So if you can build yourself to be more intentional about your day, you'll be excited and passionate, and also be grateful for your blessings. You woke up and you took a first breath. You woke up, you still have your health. Does that person actually thank God or whatever they believe in? Are they grateful, or do they just complain and say, why me? Or are they actually excited about life? And I feel like that's a big disconnect, is people that go through that autopilot thing, that they get lost in all the celebrity stuff, the sports. It's kind of like they tap out of reality to look at somebody else's reality, opposed to saying, let me turn this stuff off.
Reality sucks.
Yeah. What do I need to work on?
The reality sucks. When your reality sucks, it's hard to reflect. You don't want to reflect that boo-boo. You know what I'm saying? That garbage. It's like, oh, it stinks. This is me. But when I'm looking over there, I can vicariously have a little bit of hope and inspiration, and I mean, it sounds crazy, but we've all looked at a movie and we want a particular character, like, oh, I hope he doesn't die, and you haven't seen it, but you have emotions tied to how the story plays out. It's the same thing when it comes to the sports. These people they want a particular storyline to come because that story didn't happen for them. Exactly. There's always going to be the argument, who's the GOAT? MJ, LeBron James, but either it doesn't matter who is the GOAT or who's not the GOAT. Doesn't put no money in your pocket. Doesn't help your family. So can you shed a little bit more light? Because I'm just touching the surface on it. You're the expert at this, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, is people have to just be more intentional about what they're doing, and it all starts with their morning process. What do they do, and does it empower them? If they can choose only things that will empower them in the morning, they will feel more open-minded, positive, powerful, opposed to waking up and saying, man, I got to go back to this job. Waking up and say, what am I going to do today to change my life? What am I going to do today to become the man or woman that I would be proud of, and I can give that individual to my family, to everybody else? What can I do to become that man and that woman to help serve other people? If they start to change the way that they think and show up like that, they will see life in a different way. Will they say, you know what? It's my obligation to do this thing because people depend on me. Because if they make it all about themselves, then they'll just go through the motions. It's an autopilot because they're selfish about it. And a lot of them, that they'll get angry about it, like, no, I'm not selfish. But if you look at their day to day, they do nothing for themselves or to help anybody. They just like break down people, or are negative to them, or just like piss on their parade, where they just have to pause and just tap out for a moment to say, I need to show up and make people proud and make people excited, because life is way too short to be in that negative space. Like, we could literally all change today and change the family. Some don't want it. If you don't want it, then shut up and stop complaining and just like go about your life. But if you do want it, we have to just step up as men and women, because we can be the ones to change it. But it all starts with that morning routine. If you can harness the morning, you're going to earn happiness. You're going to earn confidence, because none of that stuff is in a bottle. None of that stuff is after 8 hours of sleep. You could sleep 8 hours and still feel like crap when you wake up. So it's not about the quality of sleep. It's not about the breakfast. It's about, are you excited about what you do? And if you have a morning routine that gets you excited about life, gets you grateful that God has you here, you're going to see everything in a new light.
That's powerful. So I know that we're all considered working masterpieces. So if you could, time travel and give your younger self, some advice, what would it be? Buy Bitcoin, something crazy, superficial like that? Or would you find yourself giving yourself a little bit more deeper insight?
Yeah, I would definitely say to him to say, slow down, look around, and absorb everything like a sponge. Slow down, look around, and absorb everything like a sponge. And what I mean by that, I was the angry teenager who knew it all. Like, I made good grades, I was good at sports, and I was like, nobody could tell me nothing. I just thought, like, whatever. I was positive and all that, but in my head, I'm not listening to anybody. If they don't have the life that I want, I'm not listening to them. Like, I was just that kid, but I would hit my head against the wall in every area of life so much because I was just hard-headed. But if I slowed down, paused, looked around, and listened, and I'm like, you know what? He is the expert in this. let me just adhere. Let me just listen. And once I did start doing that, things started falling into place. But that would be my biggest piece of advice, because I was in my own way for so many years, just with that mentality where I wasn't blaming anyone. I was just like pissed off to be pissed off, because I was that angry. That inner child was just angry inside of me. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm bringing this into my relationships, my friendships, in class. I'm like, this is not even me. I'm not a negative person. I'm allowing my past to control me right now.
So, you know, you've helped over 500 clients, 50 companies thrive. What's the common thread among those who succeed? What's that commonality there?
So the commonality there, number one, a lot of them were competitive. So maybe they were in sports, maybe they were in band. If people are in the South, they know how competitive band is. People used to make fun of people in band in high school, but they're the most competitive people. I think they can outcompete most athletes. So if somebody's in band, they hear this, they can be like, yes, we were at practice so many hours, 7 days a week. But with that being said, is they did something competitive, whether it was sports, band, dance, anything of that sort, ROTC, they did drill, things like that. They naturally have that competition in them. They always do really well. And they catch on quicker because they're excited and they just want to outdo their younger self, or like they have that common thing. Number two could be salespeople. Salespeople, maybe they were never in sports, but they were just like, I want to make commission. I want to make checks, whatever their thing is. They just listen to Young Dolph all day and they just get pumped and they just want to crank out sales. Like it works for some people. So they just get in that zone. So one is athletes and anybody that was competitive. Two is people that are just great at sales and they just want to crush it. And three is people that have been through hell but bounce back. People that have been through hell but bounce back. Those individuals, they just operate at a different level because they have less fear than most people. They've seen hell or seen death so many times face to face that they're like, the rest of life is nothing. Like, I almost died multiple times. What's the economy, or what's
next?
So what is the Facebook ad getting rejected going to do to me? Like, what is slow Wi-Fi going to do? So yeah, those are definitely common things that I've noticed. And the others, they just need that accountability and to change their way of thinking. The others, it's just limiting beliefs placed onto them from family, friends, professors, whoever, somebody on the internet. It's crazy. But all this negative stuff that somebody's been through, they just have to get that off of them to then be able to see differently and to be able to breathe for a moment. Because a lot of that is just in somebody's chest. Once they can release it after workout and just go, or go for a hike, get to the top of a mountain and cry and release, they're just like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I just released so much. I don't even know what just happened. And they start to look around. They're like, man, thank you, God. And they just release. They see things in a whole new light. And that's what I mentioned in the beginning, is that they push past that threshold, that they just have a different vision and excitement about life. And until somebody gets to that threshold and goes past it, they'll always feel that same way. So I challenge everybody to just push harder in whatever you're doing and see how many days you can win. Stack your wins every morning. You stack your wins, you grab the water, awesome. You went to the gym, awesome. You listen to positive music opposed to the media, amazing. You have 4 wins by 7 a.m. What's next? The mind is going to start looking for more wins. All I tell myself and my clients is how many wins have you stacked by breakfast and by lunch? And by that time, their subconscious is going to be like, yo, this feels good. We want more of that. And everybody's like, yo, you're so intense. Like, what are you on? But all they're doing is flipping it because the brain does it in reverse already. Yeah. Our brain does this in reverse with a negative. So if you think about it, we don't have to force ourselves to think negative or to stress. We can just like sit here and say, yep, it popped in my head already. It takes no effort. So we just have to train ourselves to be in the other way of more positive and empowering. And it all starts with that morning routine, positivity, who's in your life. Are you grateful for whatever higher being or God that you believe in? And also, are you showing up for your people, or are you just selfish?
All right. So you talked about using an alter ego to push through fear. Like, who's your alter ego, and does he have a cooler haircut?
Yeah.
I was going to throw you off with that, right?
You're good. Great question. So growing up, being mixed, being light skinned, being all that. So I would always tell my friends, I'm like, yo, Derick's like my professional name. My middle name is Sharon. I always would tell my friends, I'm like, yo, Sharon doesn't give a fuck. Like, Sharon doesn't give a damn. Like, he's not scared. He's faced death so many times. He does, like, he's crazy. And so, like, that's who shows up in the gym. That's who shows up sleeping 4 to 5 hours some days. That's who shows up for other people. That's who shows up to the last coaching call when he doesn't feel like it. But afterwards, he's like, man, he needed that. I needed that. So tapping into that version, and all that is not letting down that inner child. That's all it is. I used to pretend that I had a twin brother, and I would just like talk to myself. Like my family wouldn't really talk to me much. It'd be like, shut up until spoken to. So I would just talk out loud to myself and pretend I had an alter ego or a brother. And I don't know where it came from, but it worked. But my alter ego is Jerome. That dude is unstoppable. If you guys are familiar with David Goggins, he's like Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
Like before I even knew who David Goggins was, people used to tell me, they're like, yo, you remind me of David Goggins. Like, who is that? And then this is probably like 7 years ago when I first found him. I'm like, this is crazy. There's somebody else who has a similar upbringing. And I'm like, yes, I'm not crazy. Somebody else does it too.
Yeah. That's awesome. So this on a lighter side, we talked about so much. I definitely would love to have you on the show because I feel like we just barely. So if you're listening in right now, you think this was intense. I'm telling you, we're barely scratching the surface with Derrick here. I'm telling you. So quick fire questions. Just kind of be a little bit more lighthearted about the conversation. What is your favorite book?
Favorite book is definitely Outwitting the Devil. The reason why, clarity on family. One side of the family might be different than your other side. It'll give you clarity on who you are, why things happen in your family tree, and to see life in a new different ways. So to me, it was the most life-changing book ever.
Okay. What is your go-to comfort food?
Comfort food, I would say pizza or burgers, but like an authentic place. Not like the chain places. Okay. I don't trust those corporations, especially right now.
So right now, real hamburger.
Yeah, right now it's 1 cent, 50-cent burgers, and everybody's doing a little deal. I don't know if you looked it up. Look it up. Right now, these next few weeks, all these restaurants are doing like buy one get one free or 50-cent cheeseburgers, and they're putting out that lab-created meat to test people like lab rats. So if people want to go down that rabbit hole, I don't trust it.
All right, so. One thing you can live without.
One thing I could or couldn't?
Could live without. Can't live without.
Can't live without? I would say music. Music. It's helped me through my best times, darkest times. I listen to every genre, but who I listen to the most are artists that I relate to. So like growing up, it was Eminem. People were like, man, that's kind of dark, but I related to that. Nowadays, it's a lot of Rick Ross and like I call it luxury rap. Young Dolph, just like stuff that gets me hype and to level up. And besides that, I like conscious rappers as well to talk about real things. So you got J. Cole, but also in the gym, I'll listen to some dark rock music. So it's all about my mood, but it's more so the feeling. I love getting chills and like getting emotional to music while I'm training or pushing myself, where it reminds me of that kid who was going through stuff and that music helped him. Music today still helps me. So if people relate to that, they might be like, yo, I get chills to music too. Others might be like, that's weird. You get chills listening to music, but hey, each has their own.
So talk to us a little bit about how people can better connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. So on social media, it is Fit with Derrick 2. That's DERICK with the number 2. That's on any app. And so my whole intent with social media is to spark seeds in people's minds. Positivity, a new perspective to make them think. And also when they're about to hit snooze, they think of that video they saw and they're like, oh man, he called me out in that video. It's all about getting people to stop wasting their potential. And when it comes to my coaching website, I just like to show real people with real results so they can see body transformations, career transformations, and the internet's weird. So that's why I have pictures and videos. Everybody looks the same. So my whole intent is to help people to utilize their potential so they can truly see what they're capable of.
And that's awesome. So you can definitely go check him out. Like today, I mean, Derrick, I just want to just thank you for, not just showing up, but showing out.
I appreciate it.
So, this has been an exhilarating ride through the cosmos of Derrick Johnson's wisdom. So if you're not ready to start thinking forward now, then, my friend, you might just be listening to the wrong podcast, right? A massive thank you to you, Derrick, for gracing us with, your insights. And our incredible listeners for tuning in. You're the reason we keep pushing boundaries of what's possible. If you've been inspired today, just don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs a jolt of motivation. Let's create a ripple effect of a positive change, right? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can never miss an episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss one that we have lined up next. And we're definitely going to be bringing Derrick back to the show. So one more time, Derrick, what would be the parting words that you would like to leave the listening audience before we get out of here?
What can you do to become the man or woman that you would be proud of? And how can you give them to the world? What could you do to become the man or woman that you would be proud of? And how could you give him or her to the world? I feel like that's why we're all here.
Woo! Hey, that's the way. Let's get it. Hey guys, go check him out. He's on he has his website. What's that website URL again, Derrick?
The website is fitwithderrick.com. Fitwithderrick.com.
When you go to that website, that's what you will see. And then this is, I believe, your Facebook. So go check him out on Facebook. He got the little snazzy little suit and everything. So connect with Derrick. All right, guys. It's been great. And no matter what you do, continue to keep thinking forward.